That's what professional boxing is about. You gotta be clever, you gotta be smart, and not get hit. It's what he does that makes him a hero, and what the other fellow doesn't do that makes him a coward. It's just as simple. You could hit him, he can't hit you. That's what the science of boxing is all about.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the project Science of Victory. Today we are talking with a professor of philosophy and boxing writer of the Wall Street Journal, Gordon Marino. Hello, Gordon. Mr. Gordon, would you mind please telling to what extent Cus D'Amato is popular in the United States of America?
Yeah, he's popular with who know about boxing, not with the general public. So everyone who knows about boxing knows about Cus D'Amato. He's one of the most renowned trainers in boxing history in America.
Gordon, when we speak of Cus, we know that this person was a legendary coach, but he was never a professional boxer himself. So how do you think, what is possible for him to create 3 world champions?
Well, he wasn't a professional boxer himself. He hung around gyms all the time. So he absorbed a lot of knowledge. There's my mentor, Angelo Dundee, was not a professional boxer. He trained Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, 15, 16 world champions. So you don't have to be a boxer to be a great trainer. And he was around a lot of gyms in New York at the time. There were many gyms. I forget which ones he was at, but he ultimately ended up at a gym called the Gramersy gym, where I used to box and train.
Gordon, how do you think, what was the most important feature of Cus that allowed him to nurture champions?
Well, he developed style, the Peekaboo style, which hands very high, and you're somewhat squared up, so a lot of trainers think it's a terrible style. But, because your body's squared up, your shoulders are squared up, and you're a big target, right? So some trainers really take issue with the style, and it works for certain people with a certain kind of build, I think. But he put a great deal of stress on head movement, and getting close to the opponent and then moving your head. So anybody who's from the Cus D'Amato school will always talk about moving your head. They think it's the most important thing there is. And so once you get close to the opponent, you try to stay there and move your head. You see Mike Tyson early in his career, he would be about 2 feet away and right in your chest. So a very aggressive style, but he also stressed psychology a great deal. So one of his main insights was that you want to be afraid. You want to have anxiety. There's going to be anxiety in boxing. You need to use it. That fear is something that keeps you alert. And when I have boxers myself, when I train boxers who aren't afraid, I know we're in trouble because they're not ready. So the idea is, and it's a lesson in life. He was a life teacher. Is that not to be afraid of your fear, right? Not to panic about being panicked. Right? And it's a great lesson, not just for boxing, but for life. He was able to create incredibly intense and close relationships with his fighters. Spellbind them in some way. That was really remarkable. Some people, like some other trainers, will say it was too much. It was almost like it's a father-son. Well, literally, in Mike Tyson's case, it was a father-son relationship. He adopted Mike.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Gordon, would you mind please telling, is it known in the United States to anybody that Peekaboo style has the technical elements of Spanish fencing school?
Spanish dance?
Fencing school.
Oh, fencing?
Fencing,
I thought
yes.
you said dancing.
No dancing.
Fencing. Yeah, sure.
The reason for this question is that the head of the research institute and the patron of this project, scientist Oleg Maltsev, have been researching the phenomena of Cus D'Amato for more than 20 years. And he also researched Spanish fencing school. So it was found that there are elements of Spanish fencing school in the Peekaboo style.
Yeah, because you have to keep your weight balanced over center, and you move in without falling forward. Yeah, so that's true. That's good. That would hold through all boxing styles. Staying balanced, keeping it with. You'll watch Gennady Golovkin. His weight never doesn't pitch, doesn't fall forward. The Klitschko brothers at their best, my friends, they didn't fall forward when they were on the attack. So that's a connection with. So you're moving in behind your jab like you had a saber, a foil.
Gordon, how do you think why it is so hard for people to copy the Peekaboo style? Because I have spoken with a lot of trainers, boxers, psychologists during the project, and what they say is that this style is very effective, but it is extremely hard to copy it.
Because I think it only for people with a certain body type and certain skill set. You can't. One of the great things about, say, Angelo Dundee was he didn't force everyone into the same style, right? When Ali, for example, dropped his left hand all the time, and he had people that were boxers, pure boxers. He didn't try to mold their style that much, and so your style of boxing. For example, if Floyd Mayweather used the Peekaboo style, it would have been a disaster. His assets were this ability to pull back, counterpunch, footwork. So again, you're very squared up with it. So if you look at the great fighters that Cus D'Amato trained, say Tyson, Patterson, and Torres, they all had tremendous left hooks and quick hands, right? But again, we're quite squared up. So your shoulders are square. In boxing, you usually want to keep your shoulder back, because you lose the torque on your right hand if your shoulder's up here in front. So I don't think it would work for example, the Klitschkos. Mm-hmm. It's for a fairly short, compact type of fighter with very good reflexes. So that's why, it is hard. It would be hard to copy for. You wouldn't want to copy certain fighters. Why would someone like Vladimir Klitschko want to fight a Peekaboo style?
Speaking of philosophy and psychology of Cus D'Amato, we see that he had his own philosophy and psychology of boxing. What would be the features that you can point out that would describe his philosophy and main principles?
Again, this issue of how to deal with anxiety, fear. This recognition that fear is a part of boxing, and that it's your friend. That's a huge thing. Another insight he had, that you sometimes I picked up from Teddy Atlas, who worked with D'Amato for many years, was that fighters a lot of times don't want the final test, so they sabotage themselves. They don't train hard enough. They always want to have an excuse. So he was D'Amato, right? So you do something before the fight, you put on weight or whatever, just to always leave a little room where you could say, well, I could have won if I did such and such. So the fear of really finding out how good you are. And that's, again, another insight in life. Many of us shy away from that. Don't want to find out, so we come up with excuses and don't try our best, because we can keep the fantasy that, who knows, we could have been champion, or we could have done this, could have done that. So it's a great insight. Yeah, and another thing though, another part of psychology, like he would say that when boxers clinch, so the important thing is that you keep busy the whole time. You're always punching. You're always aggressive. And he would say that when boxers clinch, they're making a deal together to take a rest. Or when they tap gloves, there's a psychological deal going on. At least that's how Teddy Atlas interpreted Cus D'Amato. And I think that was a powerful insight, right? That there's a certain psychological dance going on in the ring that you got to be aware of. So fighters tie up and they're basically saying to each other, let's take a break. And the thing is, you want to keep a cushion between yourself and the other fighter and keep punching, especially with the Peekaboo style. Right? It's not a style to fight with from the outside. Mm-hmm. So again, that's a psychological insight. Now, it's like you're making a contract to take a little break together. So insights like that.
During the scientific research of Dr. Maltsev, it was found out that Cus D'Amato had an ability to influence a person in a way that he was able to switch certain archetypological things in Tyson, and this released great power in him. And up to this day, not even one psychologist can repeat this. It's about depth psychology and it's very difficult, but where from D'Amato knew about this?
Well, I don't know about Mike. I mean, the relationship was so powerful that sometimes when I talk to Mike Tyson, he just bring up Cus and he'd start tears would come to his eyes. So incredibly strong identification, desire to please, to not to let Cus down. Yeah, Mike was funny in the sense that he once told me that he'd be walking to the ring and would be terrified, and when he got in the ring, he felt like God. You know, and now how much that had to do with Cus, I'm not sure. He's very mercurial, moody, different. Sometimes he feels like God, sometimes he feels like dirt. But he had this connection with it, this identification with his fighters was so powerful. Floyd Patterson had to get away from him, in fact. It was very hypnotic almost, I think, you know. And he had some very crazy views. I mean, D'Amato had some very, he was somewhat paranoid, you know. When Floyd Patterson was in training camp, he would sleep in he'd train at a racetrack, and he would sleep in a little, like a tent-like structure at the racetrack, and he was quite unusual, but tremendous connection with his fighters. That ability to make that connection is quite unusual. And again, some trainers would say it's too much. It's a lot of weight, it's a lot of responsibility, a lot of burden. You know, it can be too overpowering. Mm-hmm. Again, Patterson had to leave the fight listed.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Gordon, there are a lot of stories and a lot of people telling that Cus had paranormal, very unusual abilities. Could you please tell how was it expressed and what was reaction of other people? Were they afraid of him, or was it on the contrary causing great interest in D'Amato?
Well, I don't know about paranormal, but I do know that people think that as the years go on, it became more a little bit stranger, so kept their distance from him. On the other hand, people like Muhammad Ali called him up and had, again, great respect for his boxing knowledge, but he became a little bit more peculiar as the years went on, I think. But I don't know about the paranormal aspect. I never heard that. Mm-hmm. Paranoid. First, paranormal means see into the future, blah, blah, blah. He became, very nervous about some of the forces in boxing, people. Maybe rightfully so, I don't know.
There are a lot of stories about Cus having a power ability to influence people and situations in a mental way. Do you think is it true?
No, I doubt. But the power of identification, well, I mean, it wasn't just Mike. When Mike was there, I met some of the people that were there at the same time. And, one who ended up in the FBI, another businessman, all completely devoted to him. He was a very charismatic and powerful figure who got into people's minds and they identified with him. And again, it's Steve Lott, just completely devoted to him. So I don't think there's anything mysterious. He was like a psychoanalyst of sorts, and he understood, had a deep perception of people's personalities, created these very strong attachments. So I don't think there's anything mysterious about that. It's just it's a beautiful power, and he positively impacted many people's lives that didn't stay in boxing. Mm-hmm. I was amazed that when Mike was inducted into the Hall of Fame, I met some of that circle of the fellow people that were around Mike at that time, and they went all went on did good things, and Cus D'Amato was very much in their minds all the time. It's create bonds between people, very important. It's a beautiful event.
Do you know which books D'Amato preferred to read? As far as we know, he read a lot about different topics.
Well, I know I like to read Stoics. I like to read about Roman Stoics, Marcus Aurelius. So those were sort of his way of thinking about histories. And when Mike Tyson's thinking, it's Fitzgerald, what is it? Geez, I forget the name. It's slipping my mind right now. Oh, The Great Gatsby. So yeah, that's Mike's favorite book. Yes, he did read a lot, and, but a lot of histories, and again, Stoicism.
Stoicism, you said?
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
may I please ask you?
Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius. I'm a philosophy professor, so I read those folks too.
Gordon, how would you evaluate the contribution of Cus D'Amato into boxing and to history of boxing?
Well, certainly his emphasis on the psychological aspects. He developed a unique technique that is still used in various fashions today, and the emphasis on the psychology of it. Yeah, so I think that's his contribution.
Gordon, could you point out the main thing that, let's say, inspire you in Cus and his training methods and approach?
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, from a technical point of view, the head movement, huge, right? Huge. So I think that's one of his greatest, from a technical point of view. Stressing that is very important. It's much harder to hit somebody who's moving their head. On the other hand, there's a lot of fighters like Gennady Golovkin who find it very hard to punch when they move in the head. So Golovkin is never going to give you a lot of head movement. And so the people I train, I try to get them to do it right away. So you throw a combination and move your head right away, and then move to the side. And so that's a great, I think, a really important insight, and that's a lasting effect of D'Amato. But again, this attitude towards anxiety, which all fighters have at different levels. Being aware of it and being able to use it, not let it burn you up. So that's an important, huge insight in the life and in the ring, which I work with all the time with I have a drill where I'll have one boxer throw a 1-2 punch, and I'll stand behind the other one so he can't move out of the way. So a big part of Cus's technique is staying in the pocket, staying close. That's how you put pressure on. Or you don't let the other person breathe. Golovkin's tremendous. This psychological pressure is just constantly in front of you. But in order to do that, you can't punch and then back up, which is the natural impulse. Usually when you punch somebody in the face, you expect they're going to punch you back. And the natural impulse is to pull back straight and get hit around the end of the punch then. So those are some of the things that come from Cus.
That's what professional boxing is about. Got to be clever, got to be smart, and not get hit. It's what he does that makes him a hero, and what the other fellow doesn't do that makes him a coward. It's just as simple. You could hit him, he can't hit you. That's what the science of boxing is all about.